Psalms 83. Let's start with Psalms 83.
Palestine will be free.
Psalms 83 from the top.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, from the top. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace.
Right?
And be not still, O God. And be not still, O God.
Right?
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
My enemies what?
Thine enemies make a
What
tumult.
are these people doing?
Thine enemies make a tumult.
Right?
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They that hate thee have lifted up their head. That's what these nations have done. They're full of pride. They're full of themselves, to be honest. Go ahead, King.
They have taken crafty counsel.
What the Lord say?
They have taken crafty counsel.
Right?
Against thy people.
Against thy people, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, which are in fact the children of Israel. We are the Israelites. These are the children of the flesh right here. Go ahead.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
Right? Which are you Israelites? You are the hidden ones. You are the people of God. Go ahead.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
What do they say?
Come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
That's what these nations have done. They want to cut us off and be in a nation. The true biblical Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, we are the children of God. Go ahead.
Let the name of Israel.
Let the name of what?
Let the name of Israel.
Let the name of what?
Let the name of Israel
Right?
may be no more in remembrance.
That's what these people say. Let the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. Go ahead.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
One consent. All these nations have consulted together with one consent to take the true biblical Israelites out of the world. Go ahead.
They are confederate against thee.
What are these people?
They are
confederate against thee.
Right?
The tabernacles of
The
Edom.
number one, the tabernacles of Edom. The European Caucasian race. Go ahead.
The Ishmaelites.
The what?
The
Ishmaelites.
What?
The
Ishmaelites.
The Ishmaelites, right?
of Moab
Of Moab, the Chinese,
and the
and
Hagarenes.
the Hagarenes. More children of Ishmael. Go ahead.
Jabal
Right?
and
The
Ammon
Japanese.
and Amalek.
And what?
And
Amalek.
Those people who the Ishmaelites are at war with today, the people who are in Israel fighting right now, those are not the Israelites. Those are the Amalekites that are in the land. Go ahead.
The Philistines
And the Philistines, right? The African nations, right?
Amalek
Amalek, right?
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Which are more Hamitic nations. Give me the book of Jeremiah, chapter 47 from the top. Jeremiah 47 from the top. We're going to stand for the true and living God. We're going to stand against the workers of iniquity. The true children of God are standing up, and we are going to be bold as lions, as thus saith the Lord.
Con.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 47.
Bring it out.
The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah, the prophet, against the Philistines.
Against what?
Against the
In
Philistines.
this context, it's talking about the Palestinians. Not the African Philistines, but the Palestinians. Go ahead.
Before that Pharaoh smote Gaza.
Right?
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith who?
Thus saith the Lord.
Right?
Behold, waters rise up out of the north,
Right?
and shall be an overflowing flood.
And that's talking about these nations going to war. God already told us this has to transpire before the end, because these are the last days. Go ahead.
And shall overflow the land and all that is therein.
Right? And that's why you see the war happening over there, because the people that are in their land do not belong there. Those are bastards in the land of Israel today. The people that belong there are the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. The real 12 tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
The city and them that dwell therein, then the men shall cry,
Right?
and all the inhabitants of the land shall howl.
That's what you see happening. The people are now crying and howling because the Lord is bringing that judgment upon them. This ain't by coincidence. God already said this would happen. This is in His Word. And the Bible says everything that is written aforetime is written for our learning. So when we see these things transpire, it shouldn't be a shock. God said this was going to happen. Go ahead.
At the noise of the stamping of the hoofs.
That's talking about war. It's talking about the tanks. It's talking about the helicopters. When it talks about the hoofs, meaning horses of the ancient days, that's what they would do when they would go to war. But for modern day, allegorically, it's speaking of the helicopters and the tanks and the infantry units. Go ahead.
At the noise of the stamping of the hoofs and his strong horses,
Right?
at the rushing of his chariots and at the rumbling of his wheels.
Right?
The fathers shall not look back to their children for feebleness of hands.
Or feebleness of hands, meaning the Lord is weakening the nations. He's weakening them. That's what's happening because He's raising up His children in these last days to evict those people out of that land and bring us home.
That's right.
Because of the day that cometh to spoil all the Philistines and to cut off from Tyrus and Zidon every helper that remaineth.
So God said He's going to cut off all their help. Right now they're rousing up. Right now the Lord is allowing them to get raised up because we have to be delivered out of mystery Babylon. Because this is where the children of Israel are primarily being held captive, is in the land of North America. But we are scattered all over this wicked world in all nations. But God says He has to raise these other nations up to go to war with one another, because without war, there is no peace. So in order for our transition from this wicked captivity, war has to transpire and take place. Go ahead.
God. For the Lord will spoil the Philistines.
He will spoil the Palestinians. Go ahead.
The remnant of the country of Caphtor.
So He's talking about the Ishmaelites. This is just a day that Ishmael got to get their judgment. It is what it is. We literally have 4 Muslims come up and speak to us and run up the block, and then we see these Palestinians marching for their land. Go ahead.
Baldness is come upon Gaza.
Meaning shame. When the Lord says baldness has come upon Gaza, He's talking about shame has come upon them. Go ahead.
Ashkelon is cut off with the remnant of their valley.
Right?
How long wilt thou cut thyself?
Right?
O thou sword of the Lord, how long will it be ere thou be quiet?
Right?
Put up thyself until thy scarabs rest.
Now notice how it says the sword of the Lord. The sword of the Lord. That's talking about the Edomites. They are the sword. That's Psalm 17, verse 13. So God is raising up these nations to go at it with each other. The Lord is putting the Spirit on them to do that because it has to happen for the children of Israel to be delivered in these last days. Right. Go ahead.
O thou sword of the Lord, how long will it be ere thou be quiet? Put up thyself into thy scabbard, rest, and be still.
Right, keep reading.
How can it be quiet, seeing the Lord hath given it a charge against Ashkelon?
You see that? How can it? How can there be peace over there when God has put a charge? He has mandated this war. He's the one who's doing it. You can't stop what the Most High God is doing. Go ahead.
And against the seashore,
right?
There hath He appointed it.
Now, why is this happening? Let's find out. Let's get Joel 3. We're going to close with that. Joel 3 from the top. Why is this happening? Why do we see all this war in Israel and Gaza and Palestine? Why are these things happening? Why? Because the children of Israel, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, we are being oppressed all over this world, and God is ushering in our deliverance. The Messiah is returning soon to come get us, but the wars have to take place. Just real quick, before you get that, give me Sirach 10 and 8, and then we're going to get Joel, the 3rd chapter. We're going to close after that.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings.
Because of unrighteous dealings.
Injuries. And riches got by deceit.
Let that pass. And riches got by deceit or deception, because that's what these nations have done. They have built up a kingdom on ill-gotten gain, on the backs of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
God. Find my place.
Start it over 10 days.
Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another.
In order for there to be peace, in order for us to be able to go home, go to our homeland, the kingdom has to be translated one to another. You have to evict the people that don't belong there for the people who do belong there to go in. That's how that has to happen. That's why we see these wars, earthquakes, tornadoes, pestilences, all these things hitting the earth, because these is the last days. We are in the last days right now, people. Now let's get Joel 3 from the top.
It's the book of Joel, chapter 3, and verse 1.
God.
For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
Meaning he's going to deliver us out of our captivity. That's what that's saying. Go ahead.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Meaning the valley of decision. This is talking about the third woe that Elder was going into. Behold, the third woe cometh. Armageddon. This is what's happening. All these nations rising up for war right now. This isn't a coincidence. This is the terms that the Most High God warned us about. Go ahead.
And will plead with them there for my people.
For what?
For my people.
So that's why this is happening, because the Most High is pleading for his people. You so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. You are God's people. Go ahead.
For my people and for my heritage Israel.
Right?
Whom they scattered among the nations.
Whom we have been scattered via the transatlantic slave trade and various other captivities. We have been pushed all over this world. Now we think we Crips. Now we think we Bloods. Now we think we North Daniels, Serranios. Now we think we Mexicans and Black and African American. Now we think we Catholic. Now we think we Muslims. Now we think we Christian. All these things that God never gave us. He told us to keep his laws and keep the faith in his only begotten Son, and we shall live. Keep reading.
God. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot.
They had us on auction slave blocks. 25, 35, 45, 55 sold. They were selling us butt naked on them auction slave blocks. Go ahead.
And sold a girl for wine.
For wine. Raping our women. Go ahead.
That they may drink. That they might drink.
Right.
Yea. And what have ye to do with me, O Tyre?
O Tyre, talking about the Hamitic nations, who they confuse us with. When we came from the western shores of Africa, they think that we sold ourselves, when in fact it was the Hamitic nations who favor us in looks. They are the ones who took us and sold us. Go ahead.
And Zidon.
Right, Zidon, Tyre and Zidon, talking about the Hamites, right?
And all the coast of Palestine.
Of
Palestine.
And the coast of Palestine, the Palestinians, the Ishmaelites, they conspire together to sell us to who?
Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things.
You see that? When they invaded our land, they destroyed our temple and they took all our wealth. Go ahead.
The children also of Judah.
Of Judah.
And the children of Jerusalem.
Right.
Have ye sold unto the Grecians.
Unto the who?
Unto the Grecians.
Unto the so-called white man. When they took us captive, they sold us to the Europeans. The Palestinians, meaning the Ishmaelites, and the Hamites, the real Africans who they confuse us with, they sold us into slavery, and we are still in the land of our captivity to this very day. Go ahead.
That ye might remove them far from their border.
And we haven't been home ever since. Now we think we're proud to be an American. Now we think we from Hoover Street. Now we think we're from this block or that block. Now we think we all kind of stuff when we are from Jerusalem. We are from Israel. That is our homeland. Go ahead.
Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head.
And that is why we see the wars happening. The kingdom has to be translated one from another. God is going to redeem us out of this place. So that is why we see these judgments falling upon these other nations. That recompense is now coming upon them, slowly but surely. It's happening because we are on our way home soon, Yahawah willing. And with that, we're going to say all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahawah, Baha, Sham, Hamashiach, Yahawashi, Kwam Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah.
All praises to Most High.